Welcome to the Sweep College Baseball Weekend Series predictions, where we are taking 5 of the best college baseball series for the upcoming weekend and making our predictions. We have our cumulative record up on the board right now. I'm standing at 18 and 17, and Kevin is 16 and 19. So we're looking to turn those numbers into positives and get over that cumulative 500 mark over this next coming week. We're real close, but just need some results to go our way. With the first series that we're predicting is number 3 Texas A&M going to number 18 South Carolina. Now the SEC is super hard to predict on the road. Road teams just really struggling, especially even the best teams in the nation can't seem to get things done on the road if it's against decent competition. But I'm gonna stick with Texas A&M on the road to be able to figure this out. Feel like they're one of the teams that could pick up a series win on the road against a ranked team in conference. I think they've looked really impressive. Maybe one of the best, if not, the best overall, just complete teams in the SEC right now. Just from top to bottom, their offense looks super, super impressive, and their pitching has been well improved from last year. So sticking with Texas A&M for this first game.
Yeah, it's very difficult to pick away from the home team in SEC play, but Texas A&M is one of those teams that has you convinced of the team's makeup. They just look really well-rounded, and certainly a team capable of winning the series on the road. I really wanted to go with Texas A&M here, but then my mind reverted back to the way South Carolina just handled Vanderbilt when Vanderbilt came in to Columbia, swept them in dominant fashion. The South Carolina team hasn't looked fantastic on the road in SEC play. They've played decent, but that sweep against Vandy said a lot, especially with how hot Vanderbilt was headed into that series. And so, just given the home field advantage, I'm going to stick with South Carolina here.
Nice. Next up is number 9 North Carolina going to number 10 Virginia. Looking at the rankings, obviously this should be a super tight matchup here. Both of these teams look to be some of the best in the ACC. I think North Carolina maybe has just looked a little bit more consistent. Virginia has struggled a bit over the past few weeks, and North Carolina has had their hiccups here and there. But I think from what we saw last week, North Carolina just really impressed me. So I'm going to go with another road team here in UNC.
Yeah, this is a really tough one here. I think I'm going to go with Virginia. I think it's really tough. North Carolina looked really good this last weekend, and Virginia's series win over Wake is kind of less and less impressive as the weeks go on. So I'm not fully convinced in this, but I do think Virginia is a solid team, and I am just going to go with the home field advantage here and go with Virginia to get a bounce back series.
Nice. Next up, we have number 7 Vanderbilt going to number 16 LSU. LSU really struggling recently to pick up any conference wins, but now they have the advantage of being at home here. And as a certified Vanderbilt hater, since the beginning of the season, I am going to stick with my guns and go with the home team in LSU. It's always easy to pick the home team in the SEC, like you mentioned, and I'm going to do that right here with LSU. I think they have all the talent in the world to be able to turn things around here, and I think, maybe this Vanderbilt week, especially since Vanderbilt has been a little up and down recently after they started out, after the past kind of few weeks, they were extremely hot. Now after going back and forth with winning and losing weekend series, I feel like LSU can capitalize at home here.
Yeah, I picked LSU last weekend because I felt like they needed it, and this weekend they need it even more, and they're at home, so I'm going to go with LSU here. Just simple as that for me.
Well, that's our first, both of us agreeing on the same team here, so likely Vanderbilt will win the series, but after that, we have a mid-major rivalry with UCSB going to number 17 UC Irvine. Seems like these are the best two teams in their conference, with UC Irvine really not facing any struggles at all this year so far with 3 losses overall. UCSB maybe has played a little bit tougher competition every few weeks and have a little bit more losses to show for that. But I think because of that reason where they may have faced some better teams here or there, I'm going to go with UCSB. They've faced tougher competition and have seen the light of the good side from some of those scenarios, and UC Irvine maybe has just been strolling in the park for a little too long here.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a series you could see Santa Barbara pulling off that upset. I'm going to stick with UC Irvine, though. Just really like the way they played this last weekend at Hawaii on the road. Like you said, Santa Barbara's played better competition thus far, but I do have confidence in Irvine. I do think they're one of the better mid-majors in the country right now. And, it's not a long trip for Santa Barbara, but I'm going to take UC Irvine at home.
Nice. And lastly, we have the rivalry of Oklahoma going to Oklahoma State. Both these teams have been close, if not ranked, in our top 25. Recently, Oklahoma State has faced pretty tough competition, and their record isn't great, so that's why they haven't kind of jumped into the top 25, but they've looked decent overall. Oklahoma was super hot for a few weeks, but has been struggling recently, so really could go either way. I feel like Oklahoma maybe has the higher top end kind of potential that we've seen. Oklahoma State somewhat going under the radar this year. The Big 12 seems like it's a bit down overall, so that may be why that's happening. But I think Oklahoma has shown just a little bit more pop from their team, and they've shown that they can win on the road and be really impressive. So I'm gonna stick with Oklahoma here.
Yeah, I think prior to this week I would have went with Oklahoma, but the pitching staff just looked absolutely abysmal against Lamar. That Lamar team is pretty decent. We mentioned them probably in that 25 to 35, 25 to 40 range for us in the rankings. And but I also think Oklahoma State's fringe in that spot too, as well as Oklahoma. And I'm going to go with Oklahoma State at home here. I would like to pick Oklahoma to bounce back after that last weekend, but the pitching staff just looked miserable, and it's really hard for me to count on them fixing that in 1 week's time.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you never know. Things can turn around pretty quickly in college baseball. But those are our 5 weekend series predictions. Keep an eye out early in the week next week for our recap of everything and going over our new top 25 for the next week. So until then, see you next time.